Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Back Nine Report. Every week, Fred Altvater and I get together and check in on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. Fred, hi, how are you this week?
Carlos,
I
I'm
saw
doing.
you were I saw you were in your favorite place in Sedona. So how was that trip?
We are. It is fantastic here. We've been enjoying the beautiful scenery, the weather, and the golf. Truly one of the most beautiful spots on earth. It's simple. I just walk. It's jaw dropping everywhere you turn. This is like God's art gallery. They've got these art galleries and all this stuff around, but just driving through this whole area, it's like driving through an art gallery. It is so beautiful. And for those of you who have never been here, I would urge you to put this near the top of your vacation destination list. You will not be disappointed. We're staying here at the Sedona Golf Resort again this year at Diamond Resorts property. Wonderful golf course. And today we played nearby Oak Creek Country Club. We're hoping to visit another golf course, Seven Canyons, a little bit later in the week, which is a troon property that sits near the Boynton Vortex. Hopefully some of that energy rubs off on my game, Carlos. But you know what? That's enough about what we're doing. Listen, there was some big news today, and just right before we went on the air, big stuff happening.
Oh, it does. And the biggest thing that happened today is that Governor Greg Abbott said from Texas, hey, from here in Texas. Finally, we did something first. But anyway, it was in Ohio. See, finally, Texas did
Yeah,
something that
exactly.
Ohio didn't do. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why I'm bragging about this. But he said that statewide, starting on the 10th of March, that's next week, everything must open. Masks, the mask mandate is going to be lifted, so it's 100% capacity for anyone that wants to open it that way. And Fred, this is huge because coming from Texas, the governor of Texas, which of course is one of the most influential states, like let's say California, New York, Florida, right? The big states. A lot of other states will start to feel like, hey, that one already took the initiative. And we saw afterwards that Governor Tate from Mississippi already said, yeah, it's about time. We have to do it. All businesses have to open. Enough jobs have been lost and people are waiting for this. So, I mean, this is big. The impact that this is going to take not only on business, but from our side on sports, but we can also talk about business, right? I mean, it's a lot of furlough people, a lot of people that have been laid off because of this. Now, with businesses being reopened 100%, at least in the state of Texas, is going to impact in a big way. And the side of sports, that means stadiums can be back again at full capacity. So we're going to start to see now NBA, at least here, college football, college basketball, all the different sports that are being played can be back again to some kind of normal. Of course, there's going to be people that will still use their mask, but that not now that is voluntary. That doesn't have to be something that is mandated. As for sports, of course, what I mean, the big impact I see, just this is like the first domino, Fred, falling because like I was talking at my work today, it was like, okay, but what if there's still a business or some place that would still say, hey, you still have to wear your mask? Well, they will be entitled to do that. The problem that they may face is, okay, well, I am not the people that say, okay, I don't want to. Now I'm not obligated to wear a mask, so I can just go and do my business somewhere else. So that will force those to really have to change the way. I mean, the dynamics, Fred, this is going to be interesting to see how it's going to be moving forward. But I really see that this is just a start. Maybe not for New York or the West Coast states, but a lot of other states to start opening themselves as well.
Yeah, the Midway states I would expect will probably fall, like you say, like dominoes, probably right away. I don't expect to see the states that I'm in, Ohio and Michigan, change anytime soon. If Michigan had her way, everybody would still be locked up in their house probably and not be going anywhere. Yeah, this is great news. As you were talking, I was just sitting here thinking about the Big Ten basketball tournament. It's going to be held basically in isolation in Indianapolis next week. Would they consider going to an arena in Texas? And
The NIT
allowing.
is going to be played here. So now that changes a lot because now all the teams can be full in the stadiums there. So that's big. That's a good point. That could be
Yeah,
done.
March Madness is, it's just a couple weeks away in those states that will maybe follow suit and open up. I mean, that could be very big. Now we're talking about beer sales. We're talking about food sales. We're talking about all these sporting events. We're talking about wedding venues, restaurants, bars. Get this economy going again. And Carlos, as you know, we've been doing a little bit of traveling the last couple months. We were in Florida for a couple weeks. Now we're out here in Arizona. We're going back to Missouri for a week. And everywhere we've been, we've driven, so we've stopped and stayed in motels here and there. And everybody has been very conscious, very careful. Of course, masks have been in place. Everything is very clean. They're going overboard on sanitizing everything. I have not felt unsafe at any stop. We even stopped in one or two greasy spoons just because we like to do that once in a while, right? The old family style restaurants. And even in that, I mean, they're taking care and trying to do what they can do. I'm a little more careful when I go into a restroom at some place like that, though. I have to admit, and I'm not one to normally do that, but I have been a little more careful. And so I think this is great news. I know you feel the same way I do. Everybody's just fed up with this thing. We're ready to move on. I know there's going to be some states that are still going to drag their feet and not want to do it, but that's okay, Carlos. That gets us back to we're intelligent people. We are supposed to be a free society. Make up your own mind what you want. If you want to quarantine, if you want to wear a mask, do it. But don't force everybody else. Let them make up their own mind. If I want to go out and be unsafe and do that kind of stuff, well, that's on me. It's not on somebody else. With the vaccines, with the precautions that are placed, the hospitals are not being overrun. The vaccines are being used. The senior citizens' homes and assisted living and all those kind of things. Those people now are getting their vaccines. And those are people that we're really, really worried about getting drug into a nursing home and going through the whole place. And so I think that takes a tremendous pressure off. And this is really great news, Carlos. Great news.
Oh, definitely. And I again, it's not that people now have just can start to just be not cautious about it. Okay. It doesn't mean don't let your guard down. It's just let's start everyone to be more careful by yourself, right? It's not making everybody do something because like you've been saying, we've been talking about this. We all know what we have to do. I mean, just okay, let's use our sanitizers. Let's make sure everything's clean. And if, of course, if you the call is if you know that you're sick, still keep yourself isolate yourself, stay back home, and just don't expose anybody else. The other call is to respect everyone. Okay, if you see somebody now not wearing a mask, don't start saying, "Hey, you have to wear one." It's not mandated. It's not mandated. But if you want to wear one, then the other side is asked for not to say just remove that. You don't have to use it. That's the only thing that I see that could play a little bit into some and I don't want to call it arguments or anything like that, but I guess we all have to respect any decision that you want to make. If you feel safer by wearing your mask, hey, respect to you goes. That's the way you're gonna do it, and if you don't, then it's up to you. But anyway, definitely, like you say, I can look. It it seems like it's gonna come earlier than later. The way that things are gonna start to be back, and it's not gonna be back to that normal before because there has been a lot of changes in the way businesses are doing their stuff with this curbside pickups. Deliveries have picked up, and that's not gonna stop. But definitely, we at least in the sports and all these other things that we have seen around there's that silver lining is turning into gold pretty soon. But anyway, Fred, let's talk about our business. Let's talk about the weekend backspin and what happened this past week. And there was a big tournament. There was a WGC, the Workday Championship at the Concession Golf Club, and your guy, yes,
My
your
guy.
guy, Collin Morikawa, he took the lead and he never looked back. Okay, and he won it there at Bradenton. He shot a 3 under 69 that final round, finished 3 shots ahead of Victor Hovland, who another one of those three youngsters that, and we're going to talk about them pretty soon, but also playing partner Billy Horschel and Brooks Koepka on 18 under. By the way, Hovland, I saw him playing, and he took that quadruple bogey eight on his last hole in the second round, and it took all the momentum he had. Since then, he was grinding to try to get back to the top ever since, and it was, I mean, it was just 3 shots at the end, but take quadruple bogey, take those 4 shots out of that, and he would have been winning by one. But anyway, Brooks Koepka, another great outing for him. But consider this: he was playing with he was battling a neck injury throughout the week, so it was good. I mean, he started off strong, but it seems like that struggle really kept him from maybe performing better. But it's great to see that Brooks is back, competing among the top. Shot back of them in fifth, solo fifth, was Scotty Scheffler, who keeps playing really, really well. Another stroke back were Rory McIlroy, Louis Oosthuizen, and Webb Simpson. Fred, Sunday featured also an incredible tribute to Tiger Woods by many players. It was awesome to see it, and we're going to talk about the Puerto Rico Open soon. But in Puerto Rico, the maintenance crew, all of them were wearing red and black. And let's say here, you would see that Billy Horschel, he had the TWH in his cap. The Matt Kuchar, Jason Day, and Bryson DeChambeau, they were playing with golf stand with Tiger. Uh, Many others like Jason Day, Rory McIlroy. It's funny because Rory, they asked him about the red and black, and he said, "Well, I don't wear it as well as Tiger," but it was funny from him. But you saw Tony Finau, Patrick Reed, Tommy Fleetwood, Scotty Scheffler, Carlos Ortiz, Cameron Champ, all of them were with black slacks and dark red golf shirts. That's what Tiger Woods' traditional Sunday attire is. Other were shirts with lighter red tones like Justin Thomas. Colin Morikawa was said, hey, he planned on wearing the red and black, but his golf shirt got hung up on road, so he couldn't do it. But Fred, let me tell you one thing. He didn't look the part, but he played the part because he closed Tiger wise. I mean, he was poised and he earned his fourth PGA Tour title, his first WGC championship, and he joins Tiger as the only players to win a major and a WGC before turning 25.
Yeah, anytime you're mentioning the same sentence with Tiger Woods as a record holder, that's a really good thing for sure. I jumped on the Collin Morikawa bandwagon early and am enjoying the ride. He is the real deal. I expect even bigger things from him in the future. Look for him top 10 at the Masters coming up. He has the game for every major and difficult golf courses. If you can win at Muirfield Village, which he did right after the restart this year, you can win anywhere. Just go back and look at the winners at Muirfield Village. A lot of major champions there, a lot of big tournament winners comes out of there. The three amigos, let's talk about them for a minute. As you mentioned, Hovland was right there at the top, had a fantastic round on Saturday until the last hole. Of course, Morikawa won. The only guy that's struggling right now is Matt Wolfe. What has happened to him? He looked bad. He withdrew and he looked really bad again. This is his second WD in 4 weeks. He still gets the 30,000 for hacking around for 18 holes. He also withdrew at Torrey Pines, shot a 78 first round, and said he had a hand injury and left. And so now he withdraws at the WGC. So Wolfe is battling some stuff right now. I don't know what's going on in his head, but that whiff putt, that little deal he did where he's practiced putting and hit it off the toe. And I mean, did you see that? There was no penalty. He got to put it back because he didn't address the ball. He's just taking a practice stroke because of the new rules. But still, a pro doing that, you never see that, right? So his head's just not right in the game right now for some reason. Whether it's injury or something is going on off the court, of course, don't know. Morikawa, his problem had been with putting over the last few months. Went to this new pencil grip or whatever you want to call putting style that he's doing. Improved his putting significantly. Looked much more relaxed on the green. Stroked the ball with confidence. Made some putts. He looked really good. This win moves him to number 4 in the official world golf ranking. Collin Morikawa is up to number 4. How long will it be before he catches Dustin and goes to number 1? Well, I don't know if that's going to happen real soon, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him number 1 sometime over the next year, year and a half. Hovland, talked about him. He's now number 2 in the FedEx Cup. Just keep putting up good numbers. I like him a lot, actually, this week at the Arnold Palmer. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, good tournament, good WGC. A lot of tribute to Tiger. He was very appreciative of it. I could talk a little bit more about it later. But yeah, that it was. Even Phil Mickelson got in on the act, wearing the shirt. Phil said, "I went out and 2 things happened. I went out and bought a shirt and gave honor to Tiger Woods. That doesn't happen." So it was really good stuff. Good weekend of golf, and we don't have big weekend last week. We got a lot to talk about. Only a couple tournaments coming up next week, but with Tiger Woods and all the stuff that's happening, a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot, and of course the three amigos, and we're mentioning Collin Morikawa, Matthew Wolfe, and Victor Hovland, and I think this is just the begin. I mean, it's not the beginning. We've talked about him for the last couple of years, but I have to agree with you, Victor. Matthew, no, I'm sorry, Collin Morikawa. Right now, of the three, it looks like he's the sure front runner so far. He's taking the role among these three from the next great thing, right? That has so many have tied this before. Already won 4 tournaments, the PGA, the 2020 PGA Championship. He beat Justin Thomas in the playoff, paired with his major win. I mean, it shows really, and the medal that he has, he can excel under pressure. Definitely, right now, he's the leader between the youngsters that are up and coming. He's definitely the leader. With Matthew Wolf and with Morikawa, there's a lot of things that you can tie into Tiger. If you saw his interview, he was really really touched and talked about how special Tiger is for him, and that he was happy that he's still alive, and that he's we don't know what's going to happen to him, but he was happy about that. But he was also referring, about that he knows how close he could have been to dying, and he lost his grandfather Toshio just a month ago, and it shows how he is being compared to Tiger, and I can see it. I'm not going to say that he's going to be the next Tiger, but I can see the similarities in their games. He has that cool, calm, collected, and very focused, a Tiger like, and it showed on Sunday. With Matthew Wolf, well, a lot of people don't like maybe his way because of the way that he, that lanky, goofy, doofy guy, and the way that he's outside of the norm, right? He's not your typical golfer. But that's what I like about him. I mean, because he
He's
has
a
that.
hell of a player.
He's yeah, and he has all the attributes that he does. Now, what is going on with him right now? He apparently is has been battling an injury for the past a couple of months. I think he's just 21. McCollin is 3 years older than him, and Victor as well. So it's like he still has a lot of growing to do. Okay, and I wouldn't discard him just yet. I think he's gonna do some great things, and he reminds me a lot of Jim Furyk. I think that he might be uh, Jim. He might win a major for sure. He can have a very successful career. I'm not gonna say that he's gonna be Tiger-like, but I think he's gonna have a very successful career. And for Victor Hovland, I tie him up more like a Sergio Garcia type of player. He has all those treats and all this um, the expectations coming out of him, and from being from Europe as well. You can maybe see the similarities with him. It seems like he's just knocking on the door. He's going to win some tournaments. It might take a while for him to get for a major, just like it did to Sergio, and maybe some maturing of himself as well. So that's how I see those three. But I mean, golf right now, men's golf is loaded, right? I mean, we see all the people that are out there. We see DJ. DJ's still around. We have Rory. You cannot say anything against that. You have Brooks Koepka. Hey, you have JT, Bryson DeChambeau, Patrick Cantley. The youngsters have a pretty loaded roster to compete against. But out of these three, I have to agree with you right now. Collin Morikawa seems like the one that it's ahead of the curve. But Fred, the question is also, with what's happening, and we saw this tribute to Tiger, right? It's still, it was in everybody's mind what happened, and TV deals coming, and what would happen. And we're going to talk about Tiger and a little bit more about what's going on, but let's talk outside of that and say what it's what would be the future without Tiger and Phil, which of course now is on the 50 and over and should stay there. But anyway, how do you see that coming through? Uh, who you see it's going to take maybe Tiger? Because I feel like when the NBA that we saw that Jordan was on his way out, there was a lot of Kobe has to be the next. Kobe has to be the next. And ever since Jordan has been out, it's like, yeah, Kobe was there, but he didn't fill uh, Michael Jordan's shoes. Right now, you have LeBron James, but even though he's trying and trying, it hasn't gotten to the point of a Michael Jordan. I don't think there's going to be another Tiger, but who can fill in those shoes?
Well, every couple generations we have that guy. I mean, if you want to go back to the 40s, you got Hogan, Snead, and Nelson, and Hogan really was the guy that kind of, before him, Bobby Jones, of course, and then you had Arnold, and then you had Jack, and then you go to Tiger. I'm talking about the really top mega superstars, right? I'm not, yeah, there's some other guys that were underneath there. But those were the guys that really grew the game, really, pushed it forward. And Tiger, it just exploded when Tiger came on the scene. People that weren't golf fans watched whenever Tiger was playing, right? It brought a lot of eyeballs. The money just exploded. We've talked about this a couple of times. Jack Nicklaus, his best year, he won $300,000, $330,000 in his best year. Now, a minor tournament, you get 1.1 million for the tournament. And that's because of when Tiger came on tour in 1996 to now, the sponsors jumping in and wanting to be involved. So, and I've done a lot of thought about this, Carlos. I really put it, and I look around, and so our top guy right now is Dustin Johnson. Dustin Johnson is just not a likable guy, right? He just doesn't come across TV. That dumb persona that he plays, that a lot of that is put on, but I mean, he doesn't want to be that kind of a guy. He doesn't want to be like Tiger. You've got, John Rahm has the potential, but he's an international guy. I don't think he's going to play that well in the United States. You got Justin Thomas. Jordan Spieth could do it. If Jordan Spieth could get back to winning 2 or 3 times a year, one of those a major, Jordan Spieth is the only guy right now that I see could really carry the media ball, okay? Really take over for Tiger. But Jordan's just too erratic. I just don't see him. He's just not consistent enough to do that. Now, maybe he's coming back. Maybe that will be the case. But what we've seen over the last 18 months, no. But now the last couple of months, he's starting to play a little better. So I think the Masters, the players in the Masters coming up will be big tests for Jordan Spieth. We'll see if he can do top 5s. Because, Tiger, when Tiger was really playing his best, a bad week for him was a top 5. Even if he played poorly, he was still top 5. So that's the kind of guy we're looking for, but he got to do it, 10, 12 times a year to gain that kind of spotlight. The guy that I think is really kind of working to become the guy is Rory. Rory wants to be on the players committee, which he's now the president. He wants to be a voice that is listened to and heard, and he is that guy. But Rory hasn't been winning lately. He needs to win and finish off tournaments. So if Rory can get to the point where he's winning, even though he's an international guy, he's popular enough that he could be the guy for the next 4 or 5 years. But Carlos, when I get right down to this, you know how I feel about the three amigos, and I think Collin Morikawa is fantastic, but he's too young yet. We'll see in another 4 or 5 years where he's really at. When you get right down to it, it takes somebody with an undeniable will to win. They just hate to lose. You got to have that Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, that killer instinct. They want to beat you and they enjoy beating you. And they want to kick you when you're down and they want to rub it in your face in it. And I just don't see that in any of the current top professionals on tour. It has become a fun bunch of guys playing against each other every week. You know, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Ricky, Rory. But I don't see that fire deep down inside to beat the hell out of one another. So, you know, the guy that we're going to see that's going to be the next Tiger Woods maybe isn't even born yet. Maybe he's in second grade. But it's going to be a while. It's going to be another 8, 10 years or 15 years before that person shows up probably. So there's just so much money on the professional golf tour right now. You don't have to win a lot. You don't even have to win at all to become wealthy. I mean, Charles Howell the third, I mean, what's he won? $40 million, and he's won what, 3 or 4 times. So, you know, you just got to finish top 25 a lot and you make a lot of money. So who that guy is, Carlos, I don't think we've seen him yet. We've got a couple guys that maybe have some potential, but they're not there yet for sure.
Yeah, I have to say the issue is very complicated because you're trying to look for someone that is going to be the face of the PGA Tour who can attract people to the golf courses. Tiger was revolutionary, was something we had not seen before. At this time, we see a lot of people, a lot of other players that have potential, that are at that high level that can win at any time. With Rory, the way that I see is that he might be popular a lot of among the players, but he doesn't seem like this person that goes out and attracts people to the game. That's the issue that I
Yeah.
see with him,
Yep, that's a good point.
and that's why it would be very difficult. And the way that maybe he matures to the way that, and I'm not saying he's not mature, but that like Tiger has done a transition from that close person that he was to this Tiger 2.0 that is open. And I was listening to this. I don't remember exactly who it was, but I'm gonna try to quote him as much as possible. And he was saying, you know, that the difference that he sees from the Tiger before and the Tiger now. Tiger before, when he was with anybody else, he was uncomfortable seeing that people would get along with him. Now he's uncomfortable when people don't get along with him. So he's making that extra way to try to please and be with everybody else, and that's why the youngsters like JT and all the others are looking up to him so much. But the thing is how you have to be somebody that have to be a winner. There has to be somebody that attracts people to come into the game. That doesn't need necessarily have to be an old the top winner, but it has to be somebody that wins enough and is attractive enough, marketable enough to bring people to attract people to come and play golf. Jordan
They
Spieth,
have that it factor that people want to watch. And
right?
like I mentioned, Jordan Spieth, people love to watch him. He has that swagger, he has that charisma, but he's got to get back to winning. But yeah, Carlos, what you're saying, that's exactly it.
Yeah, and that's why I have to agree with you. And I say Jordan Spieth is that person, but he has to start winning again for that to happen. When he was on top, that it seems like he was the logical guy, likable. He got all these contracts, TV contracts, sponsorships, and he was like skyrocketing to the moon. That was the guy. But unfortunately, he stopped winning. And now, if he gets back to that, then he could be that person. The only other one that I think could, and because of the way, if he opens up a little bit more, we have seen a little bits and pieces here and there. Uh, charisma wise is Justin Thomas. Because what we have seen him interacting with the TV and the way that he is, it's just that he still hasn't found out a proper way of how to express himself and open up to the public. And but he has all the makings of being a superstar as well, because he has that determination to win. He hates to lose. And I mean, in the Ryder Cup, we have seen him taking the role last time that was Patrick Reed's before. I mean, he was the highlight of that Ryder Cup. And when you see that, if he comes back this year and does something like that, then we can start to see if he is. But I agree, if it's not, it might be somebody we haven't seen yet playing golf. That would be the next
So
time.
we're agreed that it probably won't be Patrick Reed.
Sorry, Patrick. Sorry. Sorry, Patrick. Don't take it out of me. Don't tweet. Don't tweet against us now. But anyway, yeah, let's move on to the next tournament. We'll see. Well, this is something that is just going to be ongoing. Now, let's talk about a very close to my heart tournament. That's the Puerto Rico Open. That's from where I am, and it has struggled with the COVID last year, but it also struggles because it's an opposite field tournament. It's not on its own. So it's just whatever is left from the WGC that tries to get them play here. But on Sunday afternoon, it got an amazing finish. It was dramatic. Brandon Grace closed out in dramatic fashion. I mean, he hold out for eagle on the par 4 17th, which let me tell you, is not an easy hole. I've been there many times and it's not an easy hole. And the way that he did it, then he made birdie from the sand on the par 5 18, which is a very nice hole to finish because it's easier to make birdie. But at the same time, he was on the hole on the side, on the sand on the side, which is very difficult. So the way that he did it to finish there, reach 19 under, claim the trophy, and won there at the Grand Reserve Country Club in Rio Grande. Uh, superb the way that he did it. So congratulations to him. I mean, and that all wins are emotional, but this one hit close home to him because just weeks ago Brandon lost his father to a bout of with COVID-19. So he's still affected by it, but he went out there and won. Jonathan Vegas, which is a player who plays well there in the Puerto Rico Open a lot, he made a birdie in the par 5 18 to reach 18 under, briefly tying Grace, but then Grace ultimately did that birdie to win. My guy Rafael Campos, man, Rafael, he fell short once again in front of our home country fans, man. Felt so bad. He was there battling, and I know him, and I know this would have meant a lot. And for the people there in Puerto Rico, for him to win there, it would have been the ultimate. I mean, better than winning the Masters. And with all respect, but when you win in Puerto Rico in front of your own fans when you don't have a player at that caliber, that's big time. So, but he earned his third top 10 finish at this tournament. Fred Rafa and Grayson Murray finished T third at 16 under, while Bryce Garnett and Andrew Putnam round out the top five at 15 under.
Well, Brandon Grace, he's won 9 times on the European Tour. He's no stranger to winning, that's for sure. But prior to winning the 2020 South African Open on the European Tour, it had been 2.5 years since he had won the Nedbank back in 2017. And both of those are in his home country down in South Africa. This was his second PGA Tour win. His last was the 2016 RBC Heritage on Hilton Head, and that's nearly 5 years between wins in America. So since his European win last year, in 12 PGA Tour events, he's made 7 cuts. This was his first top 10. He does move from number 147 to number 83 in the world golf ranking, and he's now number 42 in the FedEx Cup race. So he's playing much better over the last year. And his game is coming back to the place where it was back in 2012, 13, 14, 15. So he is now 33 years old. He appears to be back on track to being that world-class competitor that he was earlier in his career, Carlos.
And if you remember, he paired with Louis Oosthuizen not long ago to be the stars in the President's Cup, and he was playing at a very high level. He battled some injuries. He has had some up and downs, but finally, and again, this is a very not a top level tournament. It's an opposite field, but still, a win is a win anywhere. And look, Tony Finau finished second here, so we're talking about a tournament that has seen a lot of players like Jordan Spieth finished second as well. So it's also like a springboard for other players to do some great things. Probably, Brandon's 32 now, but we'll see if this gets him back into some confidence form and starts maybe competing at a high level again. Now let's talk about the LPGA. And for 2021 seems like it's going to be the Korda's year. I mean, Jessica Korda won last month. Now her sister Nelly earned her fourth LPGA career win with a title at the Lake Nona Golf and Country Club at the Gainbridge LPGA Championship. Now she earned a comfortable three-shot win over Lexi Thompson and Lydia Ko, who again we were talking about Jordan Spieth being on top of the world on the PGA Tour. Lydia Ko seems like the same thing. She was on top of the world, lost her way, but now we have seen her maybe at a higher level than what Jordan is doing. She's been competing, and then again she had to settle for it. She was leading after 36 holes and looking really good. It's not the first time she's doing it in this interval of time, but again she had to settle for a second place finish, tied with Lexi Thompson. World's number one, Jin Young Ko, finished alone in fourth place. Patti Tavatanakit finished T5. We'll keep watching for more for her. I've been telling you that's just going to get better. Stacy Lewis and Ingi Shan was T8. Leona Maguire was T16 as well. There was Brooke Henderson T16. Se Young Kim T24. Jessica Korda T31. And the young player I was looking for her debut here, Gabby Ruffles, earned her first paycheck of $11,197. She finished a solid T37. Nothing spectacular, nothing bad as well, but good average outing for her, which is a good thing that she can do. I mean, she can still get up to six sponsors exemptions this year. I'm looking forward to her next six appearances. We know she's going to be a DNA inspiration. That's not going to count against those six. She could still get into some more Monday qualifying later this year. And I'm not going to say that she's going to do this, but you might remember Brooke Henderson a few years ago, she had secured her LPGA card 2015 by qualifying Monday and then winning the Portland Classic afterwards by 8 strokes. So it can happen. She was recently offered a spot in the Symetra Tours IOA Championship late this month. She'll play there if she doesn't get into the LPGA Kia Classic, which is the same week. So she's still waiting to see. Well, let's see if about the exemptions for that event. Lastly, Fred, Anika Sorenstam gave us a glimpse of her. Of course, she didn't bring her game from years ago, but it was a thrill for all players to see her, especially the young ones, to see the legend once again in the course.
Yeah, Nelly Korda got the win. She was third in the first event this year a couple of weeks ago. So she's at a third and a win this year. She's off to a really good start. Lydia Ko, we love her. She's showing more and more signs of coming out of the darkness. She led through the first 36 holes, had to settle for the runner-up. Played pretty solid really for the week. She just keep getting a little bit better, a little bit better. A couple months from now, look for her and top of the leaderboard pretty much week in and week out. I think she has the kind of game. Um, After not playing in a tournament since 2008, Anika initially missed the cut by a stroke, but got an errant ruling overturned and made the cut. Amazing to even make it after taking that much time off and doing all the business things and all the things that she does. Golf is not a priority for her, but Carlos, that just shows you if she would work out a little bit and practice for a couple months, she could compete with these young girls and still beat them. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, it helped that she was playing her home course there in Lake Nona. But anyway, it looks amazing. And she was playing with Hyun Lee, the final in the twosome in the final day. And when she finished, Hyun Lee very graceful, asked, "Can I have a picture taken with you?" So her mom took her picture, and she was graceful. And then she said, the mom said, "Can I take a picture now?" So that they changed it. But that's what it means. I mean, that's what you see, what she means to the LPGA and to the women's game. And of course, her prime is past, but I just wish she could practice a little bit and try to see if she can, teach them a little bit more just by showing up.
Hey, somebody sent me a note the other day, Carlos. I got a good question for you.
All right.
Um, Anika as the LPGA Tour commissioner. What do you think?
Ooh, wow, man, you just gave me chills. I'm not kidding. Wow. I would go for that, definitely. I mean, she commands the respect of the ladies, definitely, and they would look up to her. Uh, of course, she has been already a Solheim Cup captain. Um, I think she has a lot of great ideas, and she could definitely be somebody that could do very well. I don't know about her. Well, she has the star power and the recognition to be able to not having to knock on doors. So she could get some attention from sponsors and all that. The only question would be management wise how she would do. That would be the only thing.
She's
But
running. She's running big business. She's now an official in the International Golf Federation. She, my good friend Dave Hackenberg, as you know, longtime sports writer for the Toledo Blade, was sending me notes last week, and we were talking about who might take Michael's place, and he mentioned a couple of names, and maybe it's time for a female in that position, right?
mhm.
So Beth Daniel, Nancy Lopez. I think Jan Stevenson might be a little bit past her time, but that's a possibility as well. So there's some female names that could be, and another, I don't know how this would work. Susie Whaley is a name that just happened to pop off the top of my head as well. So, there are some qualified women out there that could take that job.
The, Definitely all of them make sense. Maybe like you were saying, um, again, what I meant by the administration side is not that she may not be qualified to do that, but yes, she's now the president on the IGF. But the issue, the IGF doesn't have the same responsibilities or reach that the LPGA has, because you have to make sure that now you're dealing with TV deals. You have to make sure you maintain the sponsors here for big time tournaments. You have this also engagement that you have with the LET that is going now from the LPGA. So there's a lot of branch things that she would have to get into. I'm not saying she won't be able to, but it would be
PR,
again.
marketing, sales, all that stuff. You have to be a true administrator in that job. Yes.
Right, and it seems like she also is into a lot of other things right now. She's gonna have to, if she's gonna dedicate this to the LPGA, she's gonna have to leave some other things.
Push that
Not that
stuff.
she
Yeah.
had, yeah,
Yeah.
she's gonna have somebody take care of those other things.
Yeah.
Now it would be amazing. I would definitely go for it, and I would love to see her taking that. And again, there's not going to be another Michael one, but if somebody can fill those shoes somehow, would be any concerns them. I definitely would love to see her do that. Hey, let's talk about the last tournament that was this past weekend, and that was the Colo Guard. And we can say one thing for sure about that tournament: Phil Mickelson is not undefeated anymore. He's 2 for 3 now. I mean, he posted 14 birdies over those three
He's
days,
saving
but
himself for the majors.
yeah, that's
He's just working up to it.
yeah. I think he just did it on purpose. That double bogey in his first 2 rounds, that triple in the ninth and Sunday. I think he just said, "Yeah, no, I'm just gonna let somebody else win."
Let
But
the other
anyway,
guys have a chance.
yeah, Kevin Sutherland rallied there to
Kevin
one.
Sutherland. He can
Kevin
win
Sutherland.
something besides the Tour Championship?
Hey, he won 3 months ago at the Charles Schwab Cup Championship in Phoenix, and Mike Weir was also there as well. Of course, Mike hasn't won since 2007. That's 13 years ago. But hey, it was Weird who birdied the eighth hole at the Colorado Classic and won his second PGA Tour Champions event this season. So he took a four-shot lead. It started like the drought would be finally over, and he won. It was a chilly and windy day, but Kevin Sutherland finally came and did it.
Yeah, nice to see Mike Weir competing again. I mean, he's a really good guy. It was a great story winning the Masters. He's a hero in Canada. He's a god in Canada. Really nice to see him. I think that in the shorter golf courses, I mean, he's still got game. He's just not nearly long enough to play on the regular PG Tour. He hasn't been for the last, 8 to 10 years. So, but the Champions Tour with the, 67, 6,800 yard courses, he can play those. So look for Mike to have a pretty good year on the Champions Tour. Steve Stricker was third. He's right there all the time, man. The guy has money. Phil didn't break 70 for 3 rounds. He was a non-issue, ends up T20. He did post that tweet, as I was mentioning, about reaching in his pocket and buying the red shirt for Sunday. I think he can probably afford it. I think he's okay. Bernhard Langer playing with his new Tour Edge sticks, T14. Looking down the field, this is really an exciting time for the Champions Tour. You got Steve Stricker out there. You got Vijay Singh. You got Phil. You got Ernie, Miguel Angel Jimenez. You got Jim Furyk. You got Davis Love. You got really good names out there right now. Need to have these guys, Ernie especially, and Love and Phil winning. That will draw more attention to that tour. But really good names there. And I gotta mention John Smoltz. Smoltzy had a really good week. T67, he wasn't last. There was about 4 guys below him. So good week for Smoltz. The old guys are going on an extended spring break. They're off until April, Carlos.
Yeah, that's a big stretch, but hey, after that, there's going to be a lot of tournaments. I mean, everything seems like after April, we're going to be having to extend maybe our time here to talk about all the events that are going to be happening because it's going to ramp up pretty soon. But anyway, with that, we'll wrap up our weekend backspin, the recall of what happens this past week, and now we're going to get on the course to talk about the news that are. Go ahead. Sorry.
Let me just real quick talk about Boyne before you jump into that.
Go ahead. Yes.
The calendar's turned to March. The snow will soon be melting on the ski slopes at Boyne. That means it's going to be time for golf at one of the nation's finest resorts. 10 courses, 3 spots, hiking, biking, equestrian, swimming. Excellent dining opportunities are all available for buddies golf trips, girls golf getaways, or family vacations. Do yourself a favor. Visit BoyneGolf.com, B-O-Y-N-E golf.com today. Check out the great stay and play options they are offering this golf season. You got to hurry though, because when I talked to them a couple of weeks ago, they'd already booked up about 50% of their availability. So I'm sure they're higher than that now. Boyne, B-O-Y-N-E golf.com. Tell them Back Nine Report sent you.
All right, now let's get on the course and talk about the news that are worth mentioning from this past week. And of course, we're still talking about Tiger Woods. Then we know now a little bit more about what happened, and maybe there's a lot of still speculation because we don't know exactly the state of where he is at. But Fred, we do know a little bit more. What can we talk about now?
His right leg is really messed up, Carlos. Broke several braces. His right foot was basically completely smashed. Has pins and all kinds of stuff in his ankle. Had rods in his leg. The leg was broke in several places, coming through the skin, compound fractures. It was really a mess. So he's going to have a long rehabilitation. The doctors said it's going to be months and months before he can bear weight on that leg again. So, we're not going to see anything. We're not going to see Tiger Woods on a golf course anytime soon if at all, Carlos. And, we talked earlier about the huge outpouring of support from around the globe. It was just unprecedented. And Tiger was so appreciative of it. He put out a tweet. It is hard to explain how touching today was when I turned on the TV, saw all the red shirts. To every golfer and every fan, you are truly helping me get through this tough time. One point I wanted to make too, Carlos, you mentioned Collin Morikawa wanted to wear red on Sunday, but he's obligated to wear a certain shirt with certain logos. And so Adidas tried to get him the shirt. It got stuck in Memphis and it couldn't get to him in time to wear. He actually caught grief on social media for not wearing red on Sunday. Poor guy, he wins the golf tournament and he's catching grief because he's not wearing a red shirt, which he really wanted to. It just couldn't get to him in time. So, but getting back to Tiger, he's got a real mess on his hands. And, I think as a couple of guys said it best, um, you know, let's not worry about Tiger getting back to the golf course too soon. It's probably just be happy that his kids still have his dad for the next few years around.
Yeah, Rory and Phil Mickelson expressed those very same words. And by the way, I forgot to mention Phil Mickelson also wore red and black to honor Tiger, and that's what he was saying. Golf is secondary right now for Tiger. And I was talking to a very good friend of mine in Puerto Rico, one of the best orthopedists there for the past 24 years in Puerto Rico, and I wanted him to explain to me what he understood from what happened to Tiger and what he sees, of course, from what he has read, because he doesn't have, like he told me, I don't have the patient's form here, so I cannot tell you exactly what it is. But from what I have heard, I can tell you that it's really, a compound fracture. It means that the bones were shattered. So what you're seeing is little pieces of bones in his in his foot that that's how it is right now. So that's why they had to put the pins on it. It doesn't mean he cannot come back, but it's going to be a very, very difficult recovery time for him. Because the other thing that happened was that I'm going to pass it on to you now. The other thing that happened is that the bone broke through the skin. So that right now, the biggest concern that they have right now, and this again, I'm citing my friend here. The biggest concern is bacteria getting infections because that was exposed and the way that it was there. So now all they can do was put that back in, and they're going to be making sure that there's no infection coming on. Okay, so the first thing that has to happen is not only the recovery of the bones, which is going to happen because of all the rods that they put in the fibula and the tibia, and the fibula and the tibia, and the pins that they have put on the foot. So there, that is going to recover, but also how that muscle is going to react to it because it broke. So it has to be. I mean, this is going to be a lot of different things and different steps that are going to have to be taken place during the next year and maybe more to see how he can actually. At least the first step is trying to get him to put weight on his leg. That's the first thing that has to happen. After that, that's when you start thinking about something else.
And it was touch and go for a while as well, whether they might even have to take the leg off because it swelled up so bad. The blood was putting so much pressure, it was choking off the blood flow, and so they actually had to cut the leg open so it could drain out to take the pressure off of the foot and the leg. So that's another issue they're dealing. But and then, like you say, that brings in more issues with infection and bacteria. So it's a lot of things going on here, Carlos. None of it is good. The only good thing is that he's in a place where these guys know what they're doing, and if anybody can make it right, they probably can.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things that we have to say is you cannot bet against Tiger Woods trying to make it back. I mean, someone can the mindset and the physical specimen that he is. If someone can do it, it's him. But again, that's something that, of course, we have to try to talk about because that's what we work with and we follow on his golf career. But at this time, I think we have just to agree that the first thing that we have to see, and it's a long way to recover, is try to see him do the baby steps. Now, I ask you because I was asked about this. We know about Ben Hogan's return. How does this compare, in your opinion, to Ben Hogan and Tiger Woods?
Very much, very resembles it very much. Hogan was his lower body was smashed. When he finally got, they said if you walk again, that's really good. There's no way you're ever going to play golf again, and so he had zero chance. They gave him zero chance to play golf again, and he would basically his wife would wrap his legs in gauze in tape, and he had he really had no mobility below his waist. And he had to change his swing. He had to change the way his right foot drug through instead of turning and driving off the right leg. If you look at early film of him and later film, you can see that. But it compares very much like Tiger at this point because nobody's given him a chance to come back. But I have to tell you, I have some experience with this. Someone very close to me fell out of a tree. Their leg was underneath them, broke it in multiple places, had to put screws and pins in their ankle and rods and all this stuff. It takes a while, but they do heal up. And to be quite honest with you, they're stronger than they were before because now there's metal in there. If you can get through all the issues and all the healing and all that kind of stuff, once it's all done, it's not that bad. So the problem with Tiger is he's 45. Hogan was like 5 or 6 years younger. Okay. So he still had some time. Tiger, by the time he gets through all this, we're talking 18 months minimum, probably over 2 years. Now we're talking 47, maybe 48 years old. It's going to be tough if you're even in a great physical specimen to compete on the PGA Tour at the age of 47 or 48. Only a couple guys have ever done it. So, and then coming back off those kind of injuries at that age, that's going to be very difficult, Carlos. But it does compare very closely with the Ben Hogan issue, except for the age difference.
And to that, my counter is, and this is how, when I was asked about that, what I was saying was the difference that happened with Hogan. Just look at the stage, I mean, not the stage, the time. Okay. The time that happened to Hogan, science was not as advanced as it is right now. Athletes are not as advanced back then as they are right now.
Yeah.
Longevity is a lot more uh, seek right now in golf, and there's a lot of ways for you to preserve yourself. And Tiger, yes, he has had all those surgeries and all that. I'm not saying he's going to get back and be for a sure thing, but I wouldn't rule out that he can come back and at least play. Would he be again as effective as he was before? That's really what nobody can say. But I actually see him making it back. And just taking the example of what happened to Alex Smith, I mean, the way that he was able to come back and still might play one more year, at least professional football. I mean, what happened to Alex Smith was a lot. I mean, you can say it's something maybe even worse than what happened to Tiger because he was a couple of times almost about losing his leg. So,
Yeah.
but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, this is just a story that as soon as we start knowing more and they start revealing more of the details of what's going on, then we can be in a better place to say what's going to
As
happen.
I've said it before, this just keeps adding to that movie that's going to be made someday. I wish I had the movie rights for Tiger Woods' life story. It's going to be a big deal when that happens.
The Return of the Tiger. You will see that. That's going to be the title. But anyway, Fred, I am superbly excited about this. And that was 2 years
Yeah.
ago when it happened, but now it's even better. And the reason for, and I'm going to tell everyone what it is that the European Tour, the LPGA Tour, and the latest European Tour are now joining forces for a mixed tournament at the ISBA ISPS Handa
Isn't it so nice?
World
We all
Invent.
just get along, the PGA Tour and the European Tour and the European
All
Tour and the Ladies European Tour. Everybody just getting along. Isn't it so wonderful?
See how this is, and it's gonna be Northern Ireland this summer. It's gonna be 288 strong event. That means 144 men, 144 women. They're gonna see this tournament that was elevated to European Tour status following their inaugural edition on the European Tour Challenge Tour in 2018. So back then it was the Challenge Tour, the European Senior Tour, and the Ladies European Tour. It's going to be presented by Modest Golf, which is the golf management company founded by Neil Horan, which is the Irish singer, if you don't know. The event will be played over two courses, which is going to be the Galgorm Castle and the Mazarine, and that's going to be from the 28th of July to the August 1st. Now, they form part of the European Tour's 2021 UK Swing, taking in tournaments across the four home nations in July and August. Now, Keith Pelly said, that they were really excited about this tournament. The women's field is going to be split equally between the LPGA and the Ladies European Tour, while the $2.35 million purse will be divided evenly as the men and women will compete for two equal prize funds. The men's tournament will count towards the European Tour's race to Dubai and carry Team Europe Cup points, while the women's tournament will count towards the race to the CME Globe for the women on the LPGA Tour, the race to the Costa del Sol, which is the equivalent on the LET, and also Solheim Cups for both the Team Europe and Team USA. I mean, Fred, this competition is going to be taking place over the traditional 72-hole stroke play format. Men and women competing at two venues over the first 2 days before a halfway cut reduces the field to the top 100, top 60, including ties, in both of them. Then the third round will be at Galgorm Castle before a 54 a whole cut takes place, and then the top 35 and ties of the women's and men will advance to the final round on Sunday. And I mean, we have to see more things like this. Hopefully, the PGA Tour can maybe do something like that with the LPGA. And I mean, I'm excited to see this happening.
Yeah, and it's an even money split, right? It's a
Yep.
total 2.35 million purse, but it's 1.175 to the women and 1.175 for the men. So I'd be surprised. I mean, that's not a lot of money for the women. It's for the LET. It's a lot of money. That's a big tournament for the Ladies European Tour. For the LPGA, that's just kind of an average event. For the European men, that's not a Rolex series event, but it's a normal kind of European Tour event. So they will probably get some pretty decent names teeing it up in this thing. So yeah, it's fantastic. This is all this strategic marketing and planning kind of thing that's going on among like the LPGA and the LET and also the European Tour and the PGA Tour. So we're going to see more and more of this stuff, Carlos. I think it's really cool.
Most definitely. And hopefully, like you're saying, it's not a lot of money, but I think it's just the start of it. Once you get the start, you can actually, after you see the product, then you will see more and more sponsors come through. I think it's just something that it should be taken in this side of the pond as well. Hopefully, pretty time at some
Michael has
point
said
too.
a couple of times that to have an LPGA and the I'm sorry, the LPGA and the PGA Tour hold a joint event. They've been trying to get that together for a couple of years. They've just never found the right dates to make it work. So we may see it sometime yet here in the United States.
Hopefully we will. But anyway, Fred, hey, the USGA held their annual meeting COVID-19 style. It was virtual. Tell us a little bit about what you saw there.
Well, there was a lot of stuff, Carlos, and I'll just kind of go down through this real quick because there's a lot of issues here. Number one, the USGA announced their 11 regional US Open qualifying sites. The final qualifying will be 36 holes, be held in 9 US cities on Monday, May 24th in Texas, Monday, June 7th, the 2 in Ohio, 1 in California, Florida, Georgia, Maryland, New York, and Washington. They're going to, and from many, one, that's the slogan this year. Columbus, Ohio is going to have 2 events, and Purchase, New York is going to have 2 events. So you've got that's going to be happening. You had 3 new members go on to the executive board, which is led by Stuart Francis. It's a volunteer board that provides oversight to the association. You've got the 3 members. One is Brimmer, who is chairman of DDB Worldwide, a large advertising and marketing agency. And he oversees 200 offices in over 80 countries. So he's got that international business knowledge. That's what he brings to the committee. Engelbert was named the WNBA's first ever commissioner in 2019 after a storied 33-year career at Deloitte, which she became the first female CEO in the history of a Big Four professional services firm. She brings that female voice to the committee, but also has a ton of experience as a business executive. And then Petiti brings more than 30 years of executive experience with the sports and entertainment industries as president of sports entertainment and activism, Blizzard Inc. Was also deputy commissioner in Major League Baseball for 11 years. So in addition to 3 new executive members, you got Kendra Graham, Nick Price, and Sharon Ritchie. All were elected to a 2nd term. So you got all that going on. I'm going to let you talk about, you want to talk about Puerto Rico? I'll let you talk about that. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Talk a little bit about it. I'm trying to fix something here.
Okay, all right, sorry. Puerto Rico becomes a full member, USGA allied partner. And of course, what that means is that the USGA recognizes them and makes them a full partner in USGA business. They keep the handicaps, they help with the rules, they oversee the tournaments, all that kind of stuff that goes on in Puerto Rico. That hadn't happened before, and so that just happened. And then finally, Carlos, the USGA named the Walker Cup team, the 10 members. They rounded that out. The team did have earned spots were 3 players that we talked about previously, Ricky Castillo, John Pack. And so anyhow, they got these 10 guys from all over, and we're talking about the Walker Cup because it's going to be held at Seminole Club in May, and can't wait to see that. And then one more thing, Century Insurance just partnered with USGA to sponsor the GIN network, the Golf Handicap Information Network, that currently about 2 million golfers are signed up on. They want everybody to get signed up into that. You can go to golf shops and different places to get signed up to keep your handicap under the new rules and all that kind of thing. So like a lot of USGA news coming out, Carlos. Mute. Mute.
All right, now it's good. Now we have it. So yeah, regarding the Puerto Rico, the PRGA, now that it's the USGA, we are part of it, the PRGA. Right now, we have a USGA championship on the books, because if you saw the Grand Reserve Club, the host of this past week's Puerto Rico Open, now that 7th U.S. Women's Amateur Four-Ball Championship is going to be in the 2022 in April. It's a great achievement for Puerto Rico as well. It's the first time the USGA Championship is held outside of the U.S. mainland in a U.S. territory. So it starts this part of the relationship into it. And Sidney Wolfe, who is the president of the PRGA, who we had a few years back here on the show, talked to us about the Puerto Rico Open. He's just excited about it. I can't wait to see what more can be, brought as part of this. I know they started to talk about becoming an AGA in September 2019, but finally this happening, it opens a lot of different opportunities to see how more tournaments can be held in Puerto Rico, and we're
We should
ready
try
for
to
that.
get him back on the show again, Carlos. Let's get him lined up.
Okay, I'll do that region, because this definitely is something that I think we should talk about, and the importance that it happens now to us, at least for Puerto Rico, there now that is full into the USGA. But anyway, continuing with the news, this the U.S. intelligence report and I know you want to talk about this one, so I'm gonna give you. I'm just gonna introduce it, but I'm gonna let you have the broader part of it. The U.S. intelligence report on the murder of Jamal Khashoggi says that Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman approved the operation to capture or kill
No way. What
the
a
Saudi
surprise.
journalist. So that's a shocking news that we didn't
Shocking.
know. Uh, the Biden administration provided that long awaited declassified intelligence report to Congress ahead of its public release last Friday. So, Fred, go ahead. What you think about this?
Well, we dance around this when we talk about the Saudi Arabia championship that we've had. The LPGA, they want to have the ladies European tour there and do a thing. They've been doing all this work to bring women and junior golfers to the game in Saudi Arabia, and they're trying to do all this stuff. Hey, we're wonderful people. We're not killers here, and we don't mistreat women and all that stuff. But then this comes out, and really it was not a secret. Everybody pretty much knew it. But then the other side of this thing, too, Carlos, is that they got a lot of money and they wanted to put it in golf. And so you've got Jack Nicklaus and Greg Norman have been contracted to build golf courses over there. So, this coming to light, this could become an issue, and the United States could say, hey, this is because of the Human Rights Accountability and Act authorizes the president to impose economic sanctions now on Saudi Arabia. I really don't see that happening. They're way too important in the overall economic community of the whole world with all their oil and all the things that they do. And believe it or not, Saudi Arabia does help kind of keep tensions at somewhat of a level in the Middle East. So they really are a partner with the United States in a lot of things. Now, unless Biden decides to change a lot of past history and what's going on with Saudi Arabia, I hope he doesn't think he can change those people, because he's not going to. But this really opens up a big can of worms on a lot of stuff, especially at a time when Saudi Arabia is putting a lot of money into golf worldwide. The Premier Golf League we talked about, that money comes from there. So there's a lot of stuff that's affected by this. Not really a surprise, but it's the first time it's really been out there in the public and made public knowledge.
Yeah, the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, was the one that brought this report, and he was asked, "Hey, why haven't you guys started to punish Saudi Arabia?" And he said, "Well, it's not about punishing, but really and rupturing the relationship, but recalibrating it. What does that mean? I don't know. I think we will know pretty soon because they say that that has to be a relationship more in line with our interests and values, which comes to what you were saying. I think they cannot by any means trying to say you have to change and now be more Westerner like we are.
Ain't gonna happen.
It is not going to happen. I totally agree. Now, this is a very, very delicate subject because you have to be, walking a very fine line. How you're going to proceed with this, because there's going to be a lot of pressure, maybe not maybe locally, but also internationally to see how you're going to approach this. Because this is just a start, and it's not secret. Everybody knew about this. It's just being public now. But how do you approach that relationship now? That is, again, we've seen all that the Saudi Arabia is doing, and I agree with you. They are the key that it's holding together a lot of the pressures against the Muslim world there, all the things that are happening in the Middle East, because we know of the conflict with Israel and the Muslim world, but Saudi Arabia is a very big key player and a big ally from the U.S. there, and you cannot by any means afford to lose that that support that you have from them. So how do you police this and still keep the relationship and make it look good for one place and make it look for the other place as well? That is going to be something that is going to be really,
My
really tough.
question is why do you even do this? Why was this necessary to be made public? It just boggles the mind when you just come into office. What are you going to come in and look like there's a new sheriff in town and we're going to make these Saudi Arabians bow to our pressure? It ain't going to happen. You can do it all you want. It ain't going to happen. So I don't know why they even brought this up. Everybody knows what they are. They are what they are. They're their own country. They don't have to be like the United States. Just leave us alone. Let us do our thing. If they want to buy our products, if they want to buy our golf courses, if they want to pay our golfers money to go over there, fine, let them do it. But we're not going to tell them about our morals. We're not going to make them become Bible thumpers and all that kind of stuff. It just ain't going to happen. So why would you even bring this up now? This is old news. This happened, what, 3, 4 years ago?
2018,
Yeah,
2018. So it's
I
3 years ago, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why you'd even bring it up now. I just don't get it.
Yeah. That, and I agree. The thing is, if you bring it up, why then are you going to do something? Because otherwise, why? I mean, it's like, yeah, he's responsible. So what are you going to do? I mean, to me, it's nothing. Uh, you should have just stayed like the president, the past administration. They never spoke publicly or presented the evidence about this. Okay. Uh, Again, it's mind-boggling. If you're gonna bring it up, it's because something you want to do or something you want to get out of it. But still, we don't know about that. So, uh, yeah, I don't understand why it was brought up at this time. But anyway, Fred, you have to tell me about this guy that was arrested for trespassing Augusta National. Is that such a thing happens, really?
Hey, dude, hold my beer. Watch this. I'm going to jump over the fence. I'm going to run around on Augusta National. Watch me go. He said he was bored, looking for something to do. Nobody jumps a fence and runs around on Augusta National. Hasn't the guy heard about security cameras? Believe me, Augusta National can afford to have security cameras all over that place, and they can afford to have their own security people on site 24/7, 365. And that's exactly what happened. Some of the guys that go in there, they demand security, right? So you can't just go walking around or running around on Augusta National. And so the security guys see it on camera. They see some guy running around out there. So they call the police. The police comes down. And so he decides it's a good idea. Let's run away from the police. I can outrun them. I can get back over the fence and get out of here. Well, no, you can't, dummy. So I don't know. He fell into into Rays Creek or something. I don't know. And they ended up getting him out of there and hauling him away. And Augusta National says, oh, that's well and good. He will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. He will have trespassing charges brought against him. You just don't mess with Mother Nature or Augusta National. It never turns out well, Carlos.
It never does. I mean, it's just like the streakers, right? Why you do it? You're gonna get caught. It's just about maybe the thrill of it or whatever it is. I don't get it, but hey, kudos to him if he feels good about
Must
that.
have sounded good at the time. Must have felt like a good idea at the time, but
It's like I'm bored, man. What should I do today? Oh, you know what? I think I'll just walk. I'll just trespass Augusta National. That sounds good. This
yeah,
sounds like fun. I'll just do some exercise. Workout, running away from the local guards, and
yeah.
maybe I'll run some golf carts. I don't know. I'll do something there. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, right. Anyway, one more final piece of news, Fred. The Greens books apparently still an issue here in golf. John Ram was speaking about this. What happened there?
Yeah, we've heard Ian Poulter comment a couple of years ago about the Greens books and how they slow down play and all that kind of thing. John Rahm kind of went off on him the other day a little bit. Evidently, there are those still in professional golf that do not appreciate the greens books and the time that players are taking to examine every inch of their putt. John Rahm is one of those. He said, well, I don't use those books. My caddy gets them. I don't look at them because I'm a field player. I trust what I see. If I have a question, I'll ask him. He might look at it if we're in doubt. I've never spoken of this. I have to be honest. I don't think they should be allowed. That's my opinion. I think being able to read a green and read a break and understand the green is a talent. It's a skill that can be developed. And by just giving you the information, they're taking that away from the game. A thing, again, I think it should be a talent. It's part of the game. So, we got the PGA allowing range finders. We got the greens books. How much more technology are we going to let into golf? Are we going to, we're kind of old school. I'm kind of an old school guy. I was one of the last guys to get a rangefinder. So I don't know. I still don't have a greens book. I probably wouldn't understand it if I had one. I probably couldn't understand how to read it. So it wouldn't do me any good anyway. So I don't know. John Rahm's not a fan, Carlos. So I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. I mean, at the most, I tend to agree with John Ram's point of view. Uh, yeah, it also slows play down. I just love remembering how Gary Player said that you should sell tomatoes if you can read greens. uh, yeah, Gary, I think you took it a little bit too far, but yeah, I have to agree. I think it's something that you should be able, it's part of that. It makes it even for everybody. Let's see who gets the best read on it. I've been told, well, you have a better caddy than the other one and all that. Then that's just part of the game as well. That's why there's some better caddies than other. But at the same time, you have to be able to get your reading on the greens. And the use of the greens books, it's not something that is, even if you have it, I don't see why is it going to be something so much of benefit to you, because it's just going to make you maybe double guess everything, because you're used to also seeing what is there, but what you see might not be exactly what is on the greens book. But then that's where the slow play claim comes with, because you're going to be second guessing everything that you see. So wait, but I don't see it the way that the greens book is telling me. The slope is a little bit more here, but I have to maybe adjust more 5 feet from here. Dude, just follow what you see there and forget about the greens book. Uh, I totally, and maybe, yeah, I'm getting old school as well, but because I'm a pro technology guy, but this is something I can't endorse, Fred.
Yeah, I'm with you. One of the things I want to just touch base on before we get away from here, Carlos, is that we danced around a little bit, but the European Tour may be holding 3 of their events in Florida after the Masters because of travel restrictions in Portugal and Spain. It would be too difficult to get top tier players into there. And so they're looking at the possibility of holding some events in Florida. And this ties in with what we talked about at the top of the show. We expect Florida to be one of the quick states, with now Texas and Mississippi saying, hey, no more masks, no more, all this stuff, just open everything back up. I expect Florida to follow right along with that. And that would fall right in line after the Masters. They could have full events with players and with fans and everything down there.
Most definitely. I definitely expect something like this to happen. And that would be a great thing, just to see how those tournaments and those players, seeing them in the side of the pond, it would attract also some more attention towards the European Tour and get us to know a little bit more of those players that eventually make their way to the PGA Tour. But anything else you want to add before we close?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. We had a lot of great news tonight, a lot of different subjects, talking about COVID and everything, fans coming back, a lot of stuff. It's an exciting time right now in the whole world, really.
It definitely is. And Back Niners, we thank you. This wraps up another week of the Back Nine Report. Thank you for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you the latest on the world of golf. Don't forget to see us again next week here on YouTube, or if you miss it, you can check the audio version on TuneIn. If you haven't done so, you have to do it. Follow the show on Twitter. Our ID is at Back Nine Report with the number 9 in the middle. My name is Carlos Torres, along with Fred Altvater. We wish you to be happy, be blessed, and enjoy the great game of golf. Happy golfing, everybody.
Hope I see you on the back nine.